What's the massive scandal / controversy that people seem to have forgotten about? Epstein's child trafficking clients were never released to the world. DuPont, still active company, when producing Teflon dumped loads of bad chemicals into the water and Teflon was poisoning people all over the world, giving them 6 known types of cancer. They covered it up for decades. Crazy how evil some companies are. Panama Papers. The shadiest of shady financial dealings that should have brought down powerful rich people just got forgotten. I still feel like Equifax got off way too easy. People should have been arrested. That breach was a direct result of negligence. The BP oil spill. In like 2015 I drove by a packed BP and told my buddy, wow, BP is lucky everyone forgot, and he said, forgot what? That McDonald's Monopoly sweepstakes? None of the big prize winning pieces ever made it to stores. The guy in charge of randomly putting them on cups and cartons after production kept them and gave them to friends, splitting the winnings. For years. In 2016 South Korea had a political scandal in which the president Park Geun-hye was exposed for being manipulated / controlled by a cult called the 8 Goddesses Cabal. South Korea was literally being ruled by a cult. Park was impeached. Boy George. He was jailed for 15 months for imprisoning a Norwegian male escort after a nude photo shoot in what the judge called a premeditated, callous and humiliating assault. He basically tortured him. And now he hosts TV shows in Australia. Assassination of Haiti's president. In the Philippines, the dictatorship and the extrajudicial killings as well as the corruption under the presidency of Ferdinand Marcos seem to be forgotten already. People here even elected his son as the president. Politicians cashing out for huge profits right before COVID was widely publicized, and the stock market tanked. They made millions and millions as millions of people lost millions, and their lives. Airlines getting bailed out by taxpayers during crisis, and with executives still taking huge bonuses. The quality of airlines significantly deteriorated because they don't want to compress profit by paying more to hire more and expand flight offerings again to pre-pandemic levels. Those Turpin siblings that escaped being chained to their beds by their parents? Happy ending, right? Yeah, no. Turns out their foster parents ended up abusing them even worse and now a bunch of them are suing. Edited to I'm not American and this update did not make international news at all. Nobody I've spoken to about this knew of the update. That some politicians on both sides of the aisle got rich off of stocks because prior knowledge of the pandemic. It was in the news for maybe a day or two, then memory hold. The New York City mayor's wife misplaced a whole lot of money and nobody seems to care. Recycling. You'd be amazed and disgusted at how much stuff you think you are recycling that your municipalities are shipping off to other countries just so they can dump it in the ocean for you. We know this is happening too, but because we're disconnected from it, we just ignore it. The various genocides going on in Asia and Africa right now. No one seems to care, unless it's a slow news week, which hasn't happened in a few years with the current political in America / Europe. The food pyramid, 7 servings of grains a day and everyone is scratching their heads trying to figure out where all the obesity is coming from. Tie that in with school lunches counting ketchup as a serving of vegetables and you're on to something. Pilot truck stops stole around $250 million from their customers. The owner was never really penalized for it and owns the Cleveland Browns. The financial crash of 2008 and how all of the individuals responsible saw little to zero consequences of their actions, which destroyed global economics, allowing them to continue in their roles or similar, who are now orchestrating new schemes that see the rich get richer and the working man more marginalized. Edit. Firstly, thanks for the upvotes, I appreciate you. Secondly, thanks to those that are pointing out that no actual laws were broken in 2008. I know, dudes, but that in itself is kinda the biggest crime there is. Countless regulations were breached through unethical and immoral practices that were purely designed for very one-sided financial gain. The powerful greedy banks and their investors profited from predatory products that targeted low-income consumers. They literally preyed on the vulnerable. To suggest that, because no actual laws were broken so nobody deserved to / should have been prosecuted is wild. The law by design failed in, and after 2008, and those same individuals and their proteges and predecessors are doing the same thing now. They just call it something different. Lastly, I get it. The consumers of these outrageously unregulated, non-compliant and unethical products had a part to play in the collapse of the housing market and wider global economic crash. Self-certifying loans they had no means to repay, I get it. They were greedy idiots too. The point is though they should never had access to these opportunities in the first place, and the root cause of the 08 crash is those at the top, not the bottom. Animal scandal in Berlin Zoo. In 2008 news surfaced that many of the zoo's animals may have been sold for slaughter. Green Party politician Claudia Hormerling, backed by several animal rights organizations, accused the zoo's director, Bernhard Blazkowicz, of delivering tigers to China to be killed for potency drugs and selling a pygmy hippopotamus and a family of Asiatic black bears for slaughter. Hormerling also said that more than 100 animals had disappeared from the zoo. Blazkowicz denied the allegations. The Battle of Bear Mountain, where striking coal miners had a gun battle with federal officers and the army. The army used airplanes and chemical weapons and killed like 100 of them, with hundreds more being arrested. Edit: the airplanes that did the bombing were privately hired, not from the army. Edit 2: the sheriff's deputies of Logan County were paid by the Logan County Coal Operators Association. The miners surrendered to federal troops as soon as they arrived. Edit 3: wow, this blew up. Thanks for the gold. I know this is just an extreme simplified post that lacks context, details, backgrounds, etc. I'm on my phone at work and can't write long posts, so please look it up. I'm sure someone who knows more about the battle than I do wrote a longer and more detailed text. Thank you. The Las Vegas shooting. How about a current one? Nancy Pelosi's husband regularly buys / sells stock before major bills, announcements, etc. by Congress. There's even an app that tracks his stock trading, so that people can buy / sell the same stocks he does, because he keeps making money. I don't give a damn what side of the aisle it is. I hate corruption,